Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. Thank you for tuning in. Now, as always, we'd like to give you the latest COVID-19 reports globally here in the US and in the state of Florida. So, according to the World Health Organization, globally, they're reporting over 7.9 million confirmed cases and over 434,000 confirmed deaths. According to the CDC here in the US, we're seeing over 2.1 million confirmed cases and over 116,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, according to the Florida Department of Health's dashboard, we're seeing over 80,000 confirmed cases, and we are approaching 3,000 confirmed deaths. Now, jumping into our world story as it relates to COVID-19, New Zealand is now the next country to see some new confirmed cases after a streak of COVID-19 free days. So far, they're reporting 2 new cases as of this week. The 2 cases are actually travelers. They're 2 women, one in her 30s and the other in her 40s. And they're both traveled in from the UK. Now, New Zealand is one of the few countries who have reached the lowest tier of their COVID-19 and infection control protocols. So they were one of the few nations that were as close to pre-pandemic situation as possible. However, they were still safely guarding their borders with few exceptions. So these 2 ladies who came in on the exception of a family funeral they were attending. However, they've been set aside, of course, and quarantined. And any travelers that are coming in that do meet the requirements are required to quarantine for 14 days, much like you've heard us report about here in the United States and other countries. So they are now in quarantine. They came into New Zealand on the 7th, so last week. And then on the 8th, all New Zealand travelers were required to get tested and they must quarantine for 14 days. So the 8th was when that requirement for travelers went into effect in New Zealand. Now, jumping over to our US story, where COVID-19 is concerned specifically, Texas is reporting a record high number of hospitalizations due to COVID-19. As of Monday, Texas reported a record high daily hospitalization of over 2,300 cases, specifically 2326. And that beats the previous record, which was Sunday, the day before, of 2,287 hospitalizations. So obviously, as the states reopen, this is a big concern, especially with all the protests going on. The governor there, he said he's concerned but not alarmed by the numbers, and he ascribes the new numbers to the increase in testing that has taken place in Texas. The reports are showing that 1.5 million COVID-19 tests have been administered in the state. Now, in total, Texas is reporting over 89,000 confirmed cases, over 28,000 active cases, and 2,000 deaths, but over 59,000 recoveries. So that's where Texas is in a nutshell as it relates to COVID-19. Coming here to Florida, where COVID-19 is concerned, you heard us report yesterday about several restaurants that have closed down after receiving new reports of COVID-19 cases. Over in Tampa, the meat market at Tampa is reporting its first COVID-19 case right in the restaurant post reopening. So they reported the case. It took place on Monday. They reported on social media that it was an employee. The one case was an employee. They confirmed that it was an employee on Instagram, and on other parts of social media, they reported that they had the one confirmed case. Unlike several of the other Florida restaurants, though, Meat Market is choosing not to close. They're continuing to stay open. They attributed catching this one to the current protocols they have in place, including contact tracing. So that's how they were able to find out that it was an employee. So stay tuned. We'll continue to give you guys more stories. Right now, we're going to jump to a break and then come back with some non-COVID-19 news for you guys. We'll be right back.
All this time we fought side by side. We trained together. We lost together. And now, You're the only one standing in my way. It's been a while, old friend.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. Thank you for sticking with us. In Atlanta, we jump to the non-COVID-19 stories. Atlanta, the mayor there, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, is issuing some police reforms now, particularly in the wake of the death of Rayshard Brooks at the hands of law enforcement. So she's signing a series of administrative orders to reform the use of force in the city of Atlanta with Atlanta Police Department. So the new rules require officers to use de-escalation tactics before using physical or deadly force, for that matter. All uses of deadly force will now have to be reported to the city's Citizens Review Board. This is something you've heard us discuss here with several of our different interviews as a Citizens Review Board as a form of accountability for law enforcement in various cities. So now she is signed an order to make that a requirement, that the use of deadly force will now be reported to that review board. Officers will be required to intervene if they see a fellow officer using force in a way that goes beyond the service that's needed. So if they see something that is uncalled for, they're now going to be required to intervene according to one of the orders that Mayor Bottoms is signing. So that's a bit of an update as well. And she also signed an order to convene a body, possibly of civilians and law enforcement people in the community, to be able to air out their differences, their grievances, but also come up with solutions. So a task force of sorts, if you will. So that's one of the other bits of reform that she is signing. And so we'll continue to keep you guys posted on that. Of course, one of the direct consequences of Rayshard Brooks's death was the police chief there, Erica Shields, stepping down, resigning. So we'll continue to keep you guys posted. Now, here in the state of Florida, speaking of law enforcement encounters that resulted in an unfortunate death, there has been a suspect arrest in the death of a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Officer, Julian Keene Jr. Now, this is a 30-year-old officer. He was off duty on Sunday when he had an encounter with the suspect, who is identified as Eliseo Hernandez. Keene Jr. saw Hernandez driving recklessly, decided to follow him and confronted him. And unfortunately, Keene Jr. was shot and killed. So Eliseo Hernandez has been charged with negligent homicide at this point. 2 other men were arrested along with Hernandez, but the 2 other men have not been charged. So that is the quick update where that is concerned. Now we're gonna jump over to sports real quick. In NASCAR news, the All-Star race has actually moved from North Carolina to Bristol, Tennessee. Now, fortunately, both speedways are owned by Speedway Motorsports. Had to get that company name right. But they decided to shift the locations because of the rising cases of COVID-19 in North Carolina, which is continuing to spike as of right now. So they decided to make the shift. This is the first time that shift has ever happened in the history of that race. But in Tennessee, the government officials and the governor have allowed up to 30,000 fans to attend the All-Star race this year, which will take place on July 15th. So if you're a big NASCAR fan, you're a big fan of racing, be sure to tune in on July 15th when that takes place. I didn't forget the business story. So jumping over to our business story, 24 Hour Fitness is the next big corporation to declare bankruptcy. These guys are, a 30-year-old company. However, unfortunately, they're having to shutter 130 clubs. So they announced the closure of the 130 clubs on Sunday. They announced the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing on Monday. So again, we will continue to keep you guys posted on different corporations and what they're deciding to do due to the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. The heads of the organization, they attributed their decision to file for bankruptcy to the pandemic and the huge loss of revenue as it relates to that. They're choosing to stay open. They're not going out of business, but They have 300 remaining clubs, so they're gonna open those 300 remaining clubs at the end of June. So if you're someone with a 24-hour fitness membership, the end of June is when you'll be able to go back. All right. Now, as usual, today is Tuesday, so Jamesia will be here soon with the Entertainment 4 for 4, but we're going to take a quick break before we bring her in.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys. As promised, the Entertainment 4 for 4 is coming up with the one and only Jamesia Stoudemire. Hey, Jamesia.
Hey.
All right.
All the way from Los Angeles, California. Today is not sunny. It's a little overcast today, but it's still a great day to be in LA. So today for your Entertainment 4 for 4, we're going to go ahead and get it started off with number 1. Yesterday, BET Awards nominees were announced. So to start off with the amazing nominations, we have Drake getting 6 nominations for Video of the Year, Best Male Hip Hop Artist, 2 nominations for collaborations for No Guidance with Chris Brown and Life is Good with Future, as well as Viewer's Choice. We also have some of our other favorite artists that are in there. We have Meg Thee Stallion getting 5 nominations, and as well as Rowdy Rich, who's known for The Box, Meg Thee Stallion, the amazing remix she did with Beyonce, which all of us are very well familiar with, Savage. So they both got 5 nominations, and Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, Lizzo, and The Baby came in with 4 nominations. To touch a little bit on the other side of the BET Awards, the gospel section, or the award, the Dr. Bobby Jones Best Gospel nominee is also including Kanye West for Follow God. So that's interesting. He's also going up against Kurt Franklin, the Clark sisters, and Fred Hammond, amongst a couple others. And for our movies, we have some great nominations from Bad Boys, Just Mercy. They have Best Actress, Actor, Young Stars, which is one of my favorite. They actually honor the young stars in the Black African American community, like Miles Brown on Blackish, his sister, and other young actresses on shows such as Disney's and Nickelodeon. So definitely, BET, they have some changes this year. BET is a Viacom-owned business, so in the past years, they have streamed the show on MTV, BET Her, but for the first time ever, BET will be able to air on June 28th on CBS, which is a national channel. So that is a real honor and opportunity for that award show to be on all those different channels, as well as CBS, which will make it national, and especially in the time we're at right now. Number 2. Alicia Keys and John Legend face off for the Juneteenth edition of Versus TV. So we both love John Legend and Alicia Keys, and of course they're both known for their keys. So what they'll actually be doing with this unique version of Versus TV, honoring the day of June 19th, or Juneteenth, which is the day that the slaves were officially, well, not officially, but were freed in Texas. So really kind of ringing the bell officially. But what they're doing is, so Alicia Keys and John Legend will be playing actually on their keys, which is a unique difference to the past Versus competitions, which have been more with different artists or producers who have played from their tracks. So it's normally 20 tracks versus each other. And Versus TV was actually curated by super producer Timberland and Swiss Beats. So it started back actually in April 11th of 2020, due to kind of the pandemic, and to get some more traction for their music and just a fun way to celebrate music in general. So I definitely know that I will be tuning in. I'm definitely a fan of Alicia Keys. Girl power. But definitely make sure you guys, if you want to tune into that, it'll be again June 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you actually watch it on Instagram. So you would go to their Instagram channel, which is at VERZUZTV, and you can watch it live on their Instagram channel. And number 3. 2021 Oscars gets pushed back to April. So, of course, we all know due to the pandemic, it has affected our industry in several ways, including the award season. So, what the Oscars has done is they're actually pushing the date back from February 28th. 2021 to April 25th, 2021. Now, you ask, like, why? Because this is in 2021 and so forth and so on. However, why they are doing this, according to a quote I'm going to read for you from the president, David Rubin, they're allowing additional time frame for filmmakers to finish and release their films without being penalized for something that was, again, beyond their control. Because in this current season, how the rules actually stated, excuse me, they have to have their movie released by the end of the year, so by the end of 2020. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and pushing back production, as we all know, production didn't actually just begin back in LA until last week. So instead of trying to rush those productions and them not being able to put their best foot forward, they're pushing it back till April so that those productions can finish everything by a clear established date that they will announce, and they can do the best. Unfortunately, this actually takes a big toll on the award season in general, because if the Oscars push their date back, everyone else has to push theirs back as well. So we have the Brit Awards that follows that next Monday, so that would push them back, as well as the Golden Globes and other award shows in the film festival world that follow on their coattails. So definitely is going to be a definitely interesting year for the award season next year and how those adjustments will be made. But also, again, we really don't know if those will be the official dates due to the fact that with COVID-19 and the possibility of there being a second wave within the, in the recent coming, possibly in the next few weeks or months, that would also then have those dates change again. So unfortunately, that is the news right now. It is pushed back to April 2021. So thank you, Oscars, for that update there. Now we're going to number 4, which is Beyonce pushes for justice for Breonna Taylor. As we all know, Breonna Taylor is another African-American woman who was brutally killed by the police. They actually, Miss Taylor was killed in March after the police forced their way into her apartment, and they shot her 8 times. So what Beyonce has done with her influence and power has actually written the AG of, and I think this crime took place in Minnesota. Excuse me if I'm misstating that, but she wrote the AG of where that crime took place. And in this public letter, Beyonce called for the criminal charges and termination to be brought against the officers involved in killing Breonna Taylor. And I'm actually going to read a little excerpt, as you guys can see on your screen right here. Dear Attorney General Daniel Cameron, it has now been over 3 months since members of the Louisville, Kentucky, Metro Police Department killed Breonna Taylor. 3 months have passed, and 0 arrests have been made, and no officers have been fired. Which, as we all can know, with the things that happened with George Floyd, things must change now. So what Beyonce has done is you can actually go to her Instagram right now, and there is a link to a petition that you can sign to, put forth the effort for us to have this petition done to have those police officers removed from that police department who shot Breonna Taylor, and bring justice to her and her family. Again, this is your girl, Jamesia Stedemeyer. That's all for your Entertainment 444. I want to thank you all for watching. You can follow me at the Entertainment 444. You can follow me at THE_ENT_mogul. And that's all for your Entertainment 444. Melissa, back to you.
Thank you so much, Jamesia. Always a pleasure to have you on. All right, guys, that does it for us here at the Entertainment News, at the Evening News Rundown, excuse me. And one quick programming note for you guys: if you are a business and you are in the process, you're just reopening, you're a small business, and you want a place to run your ads, Florida National News is currently offering a promotion of 20 free ad spots right now. So the spots are still being filled. And if you're interested in that, be sure to email Jennifer Rosario, who is our VP of Production and Programming, and she will get you the information that you need for us to be able to run your ad here on all of our programming. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and subscribe on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, and at FNN News Live. Over on YouTube, you can find us at Florida National News, and be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you never miss a single episode of any of our shows. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That does it for us here at Florida National News. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening.